Okay, so I've said this in a prior video, but I went through a couple of files that I had from when I first started doing these videos, and it was kind of interesting. As always, when you do put down or request videos, I do keep track of them, and I do have them in a file, and it's paper because that's what I like. But it was interesting because the one question that came up, and I didn't write down who it was from, so I apologize if this was early stage. The question was, how did you feel when you found out you were an INTJ? How did your life change? Do you have any tips for other INTJs? And so there was a lot of thoughts that went through my head right away, but I decided, I'm going to go and look and see if I can find a couple of the assessments that I had done. So I am not sure about the rest of you. I'm just going to show you. There's I've got some of the ones that got done professionally. I have had them done since I was 1991, I think. So they've been a while, but these ones are the ones I could dredge up from 2008 and 2010. So when I went through them, I actually wasn't going to actually do this video. And the reason why is that when I read them, it brought back a lot of feelings, and I didn't realize how much feelings would be associated with it, because usually you feel great, yeah, I felt heard and whatever, and I definitely did feel that way to an extent. I felt okay, this makes sense, the directness, that type of thing, where, you get some conflict regarding that, and the deer in the headlights look for yourself when someone's super upset over something. And again, this is years ago, when a lot of that stuff would happen, where you didn't quite understand that the world didn't think in as direct terms as you did. But I'll read you a little bit of one of the overviews of it, and this is where it's harsh, and love to hear what other INTJs have had, especially if they had their own one done through work or school or whatever. So it says that she could be called one of life's natural go-getters, as she possesses enthusiasm, vision, objectivity, and accountability. She constructs a code of rules embodying her own judgments about the world. Then she acts upon the basis of her judgment, whether or not this appears well-founded to others. She uses her thinking to run as much of the world as she can, and is in her element when a situation needs to be organized, criticized, or regulated. She may have great difficulty relating to people she sees as overly concerned with health, safety, or comfort issues. Routine, detail, and close supervision are anathema to her. One of the words I really don't know. Well, I know the meaning, but can't say it. She wants to make an impact and accomplish something in life that she will long be remembered by. She's usually fast-paced and direct. People feature prominently in her plans. She can be good at easing tense situations by getting conflicting parties together to take the sting from the issue. She has an urge for lifelong learning and can shake off depression by simply finding projects that fascinate her. She possesses a natural gift for presentation. By slowing down occasionally, she's more able to gather relevant data and consider both the practical and personal ramifications of her actions. Articulate in thinking, she tends to be matter-of-fact and practical. She likes a fast pace and is adept at using functional devices and procedures. So I won't go into all the details, but what I really noticed and hit home for me was the harshness of seeing it on paper. When you do those online ones, which are good, I don't have a background in sitting there critiquing one or another. I know a lot of you guys out there do go into that kind of detail. That's great, and the more information, the better. However, when they have it more personalized to you, it's very dark because it's hitting touch points, I guess, that you know about yourself, but you don't like seeing on paper. If it's one of those ones that are taken online, then it's one of those ones where, you know, it's generalized, and that's what all INTJs are. But the more it breaks down to the details from someone analyzing what your test was, it's very projected for you, and it does definitely cause a visceral reaction. So how did my life change? I found that at first I actually didn't really apply it. I was kind of dealing with, going through, when I went and did these, I was going through just, first couple of years of being a single parent again, or in general. And I was too busy putting out fires to really care one way or another about some test. Then also I was still trying to make sense of what life was like as a single parent. And in hindsight, it would be great if I was able to take time to, sit with what the significance would be of the INTJ MBTI assessment, because then I might have been able to recognize more about, this is part of your stack, and this is what you're going through right now and your frustrations you're having with this is because of, this is where it fits in your understanding and relaying of information. That would have been a massive help, but I did not choose to internalize the test. What I really found was later on, once I was a little bit older, so another 5 years from then, I had taken another professional assessment. Don't ask me why, companies really do love this stuff. It is great. And then that's when I had the presence to look at it a little bit more in general. And that's when I noticed that it really resonated with me, the good and the bad. And I was at a place of being able to make sense of it. And I found it as a massive tool. So I was able to be more direct. So I've mentioned in the past about how for me, just tell me, don't worry about necessarily hurting my feelings. I'd rather just understand what is going on, and that's both business, personal, whatever. Because if anything is not making sense, either I'm going to start digging, or the confusion is just going to make it so that your ambiguity is going to be frustrating. So once I understood more where I was at, I was able to put that into dialogue with discussing things with people, so they didn't worry about having to beat around the bush and that type of thing. So it helped a lot in dialogue. Also, it helped me on the other side where people don't talk like that. People don't talk direct, and made it where I had to make sense of that and understand that's a preference that is totally valid in that person's life, and that should be respected as well, especially if you're trying to get things accomplished or be able to, you know, build meaningful relationships in that world. So anyways, the tips I would suggest are: be kind to yourself. It depends on how you are understanding when you come to learning you are INTJ. It is an aha moment, and at the same time it's an interesting moment because we are somewhat introspective and really like analyzing, and we always are striving to better ourselves and really make sense of what our person is for the betterment of ourselves and others. We don't like commonplace. So just if you're able to be a little bit kind, you don't need to figure out, you know, the secrets of your mind right away, but the kindness will allow you to find those little aha moments in your everyday where you're like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what was mentioned in my, you know, breakdown of this personality type, and I'm seeing it in action, and I have an ability to use other tools in my toolkit, because again, it pulls you away from the subjective into the objective, and be able to use those thinking tools to better it, instead of trying to murk around in the subjective, potentially more emotional side, which usually doesn't always work well in the everyday life with people who don't already know and understand you on a deeper level. So anyways, hope that makes sense. Love to hear other people's thoughts on this. Hope everyone stays healthy, and thanks so much. Video requests always in the comment section. Thanks.